more material comes in on these metal A-frames. It's pre-picked ahead of time for building 3. This is our first step of production. So we got 4 CNC machines. We have 2 Bacas. Each machine has a blade and a water jet on them. The Bacas are unique because they actually have 2 tables. So as one side is running, the other side can be unloaded and reloaded. So the machines never stop running all day long. This is what primarily runs all of our quartz products all day, every day. All the quartz product that we deal with is all ran on the Bacas non-stop. Anything that's non-quartz, our granites, limestones, and our Decton all runs over here on our fusions. The fusion are set up, they have a high-speed motor and a little more power to help cut through that kind of stone, so we don't have to worry about anything bogging down. So all of the non-quartz is taken care of right here on these 2 machines.
Okay, these are CNCs.
Yep.
And with Decton, if I remember, the saw blade rotation, does it have to be slower?
Yeah, we slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
And then the blade speed we slow down, and then the water jet has to be slowed down also.
Okay.
But we have also found a new blade that has helped increase it a little bit too. So we got a nice happy medium blade that's going to be worked out very well for us.
So that blade is only used for Decton?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then we have another blade that's just for quartzite.
Oh, okay.
And then everything else kind of falls into a general blade.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So as the pieces get completed, we pull them off. We actually barcode and sticker every single piece in the shop, and we can scan them to the frames and the drywall carts or any kind of shelving that they're going to go to, so we can track them through the entire facility.
We'll watch this machine for a little bit.
Yeah, so right now it's actually water jetting. So the blade will obviously cut all the straight cuts, and the water jet is about 60,000 PSI of water with a garnet mixture. Actually cuts the stone, cuts all the arcs and all the circles and shapes out of it.
Okay. There's the guys laying down new cement board.
So once the job is cut down to basically a rough cut stage of what a kitchen countertop will look like, it comes over here. This is our profiling department. So we have 7 CNC machines. They're all right here. They all have 6 sets of tools to run every different profile that we offer. And from here, all the machines are pre-programmed ahead of time by a programming department. These guys are basically just matching up the programs with the rough cut pieces, getting them up on the machines, and hitting start and they run themselves. Each one of these machines has a green box above it. That's an overhead laser. That'll actually shine down and show you where to put everything on the table. So the aluminum cups are vacuum pods. They vacuum themselves down the table. They place the stone pieces on top of it and actually vacuums that so it stays stationary while the tooling runs around it. So in order to cut and shape one piece for one edge profile, there's actually 6 tools that'll run around it. So we have 4 metals that'll cut and shape it, and then 2 polishers that'll give that final polish. So the area we're in right now, this was our original shop. This is like 9,000 square feet. We only had 3 CNC machines. We had 7 employees back in about 17 years ago when I first started. We've added on 3 times since then. About 36,000 square feet now. We've got 13 CNC machines. We have about 70 employees total just in the shop running 3 shifts, 5 days a week.
Wow. So yeah, overnight shift too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so from here, everything gets finished off the machines. You kind of go in 2 different directions. Anything that's custom and not just your norm comes this direction. So we have a miter X that has a single blade on it. It's set at a 45-degree angle to cut all of our mitered edges at.
Okay.
So all of our Decton miters get cut here, all the granites and all the natural stones get cut down back here. From here they have color match adhesives, they have combi saws, everything they need to apply to put all that custom edging together, whether it's stacked, chiseled, the miters, everything just that's not the normal standard profiles gets taken this direction.
Okay. So what edge profiles are done by hand?
So the only edge profile that's really done by hand anymore is really just the chisel.
The chiseled?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have basically it's a giant, looks like a giant nail clipper.
Yeah. Oh,
they
okay.
clip each one.
Wow, a giant nail clipper.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. Actually, that's right here.
Oh, yep. Yep. Chiseled. Okay.
And then all your standard profiled jobs come this direction. And they go into our finished department. So this is where it all funnels down to. So we try our best to do every single thing we can on the CNC machine, because the last thing we want to do is send unfinished work to the finished department to have them do it by hand. So we'll do everything we can up front, but once it gets here, there's some inside corners that need to be done by hand that we are limited on the CNC. So anything less than a ½ inch for a sink has to be done by hand. Anything less than 3 inches for an inside corner for a edge profile has to be done by hand over here.
And that's why we charge more for anything less than 3 inch inside profile.
Yep. So this is our last addition that we did. This is 18,000 square foot, which rounded us up to about 36,000. So this department has just one shift. We made it large enough that we can bring everyone on one shift. And this way, it's the final touch of everyone's stone. We have all the management on day shift. We have all the supervisors. So if there's any questions that might hold up a job, we can get all the answers we need now and make sure we don't lose any ground or lose any days before it needs to get out to installation.
Awesome.
So you can kind of see they have their handheld polishers. They got sandpaper grit, just like you're working with wood or metal. You just work your way up, polishing out each piece as needed. This right here is our fastback. It's actually just for splash. You put a piece of splash in one side and it polishes it as it goes through. It comes out the other end completed. And
so because of that machine, does it have limitations on the size of splash that can run through it?
Not really.
Okay.
Just if it's a full height splash would be the only mistake. It's going to be too tall.
Too tall.
The weight would be a little bit off for it. But for the most part, it can run anything.
What about the like back gauging and milling down?
Yep. So anything that's over 7 inches actually goes back on our CNC machine, and we have a round disc. It's about 7 inches that'll actually gauge down anything that we need to throw at it.
Yep.
Anything less than 7 inches, we have our Yukon that's on the other end of our splash department.
Okay.
It has a jig where we can actually stand up the splash, and it has a blade that'll cut it down to whatever thickness that we need.
Yeah, it just gets like sliced down.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And back gauging, we have a maximum of 20 square feet.
Yes.
Otherwise, they just need to order the material thickness that they need.
Yep. And typically, non-quartz material, we do not back gauge.
Correct.
Unless it's a special request from a homeowner that is they just need it.
And in that case, too, you or like Chris Miller will still have to inspect that material to even determine if it can be done.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you, John, while we're on the subject, are also one, just in general, to inspect material, because sometimes you go to the supply yard to determine if it's something we'll even fabricate in general.
Yep. Any non-stock material, I usually get a phone call or an email or anything, and I'll go out to the yard. I'll inspect it and give my best thorough, answer of whether we can, fabricate it, without it falling apart, or if we want to handle it, or what kind of profiles we might be able to apply to it, and just try to get my best input on it.
What about design and sales in other locations? Do you also do the same thing? Is there people in other locations that do that?
We have a few other supervisors and managers in other locations that I'll reach out to and ask if they're available to go head that direction, maybe do their best part to inspect the Sloan.
Okay.
And when it does get ordered and it does show up here, I'll still give it a second inspection just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Okay.
So.
Awesome.
And so once it's done and through finish, over here all the lights are at, that's our quality control, and that's the final step before it gets ready for A-frame load. So they're going to look it over, they're going to use the lights to try to recreate the images from inside the house. We'll pull up some template files, and we'll try to look at the photos of the home and see, is there an overhead light or a skylight, or is there walk-through doors? They'll try to mimic the light situation here so they can recreate what the homeowner is going to possibly see. So if there's ever any kind of issues or concerns, we'll catch it at this point in time, and we can determine whether we need to do a remake, do some finished work to help minimize an issue, or it's good and it'll pass right by.
Awesome. And I know that that is changing as far as, you'll probably get to this, as far as when it's loaded to the A-frame.
Yep.
The location, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So along the back wall right now is our A-frame load. So that's where they do the final loading of all the product for all of our locations. We have semi-trucks that go out every single day to Des Moines, Kansas City, and everywhere. But yeah, right now it's a finished building. In about 2 months, it's actually going over to building 1. And we're going to have an entire new setup over there with new overhead cranes, and then they're going to take that. So it's going to open up our shop we're able to expand our custom department. We're able to move some people around here, move some machinery around, and give us just more capability to do more, basically.
Yeah, because I can tell it gets pretty tight in here.
Yeah, it's very tight. Yeah, so currently right now we're doing about 2,600 square feet. We can do up to about 3,000, but we want to go bigger than that, and this will potentially allow us to do that. At the same time, you know, we're talking square footage. We're working right now to switch over to scheduling with runtime hours. You know, you can throw so much square footage at something, but that square footage, you don't know if it's going to take 2 hours on the machine. It could take 1 hour on the machine. It could take 4 hours on the machine. So instead, we're actually pre-programming all the jobs ahead of time, and we're actually pulling the actual runtime hours it's going to take on the machines, and we're using that as our basis to schedule our days. So when we have 24 hours in a day, we can schedule 24 hours worth of work and not over-schedule or under-schedule, and this will give us a very good number to work with so we can stay consistent, you know, drop our lead times and do a lot better for our customers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And have you already implemented this?
Yes, it's probably been about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yep. We're kind of working a few little kinks out, but it's been tremendous. We're consistently current now. We've had zero loss of production. It's been great.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. So once it's done, an A-frame load, that's where we get loaded up every morning for our sub-installers to actually take it out around the Omaha-Lincoln area, and they'll do the installation, and then it gets on the semis from across the street in Building 1, where they'll take it and deliver it to Des Moines, Kansas City, or wherever it might need to go into.
So when it loads, is it loading on the truck, excuse me, the day of or the day before?
Usually the day before.
The day before.
The installs for Omaha-Lincoln will be the morning of. They'll stop here, we load them out of our facility. Anything that's going out of town, we load up around between noon and 3 the day before, so that way the trucker can get on the road early in the morning, get there and get back.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. And then do you want to talk, if you're done, about the water?
Yeah, yep, so that'll be the next step. We'll actually sneak around and we'll actually go check it out really quick.
Okay.
We'll probably cut through custom. So for our water system, what we had to do is the brass pipes above us, we had to rerun all the piping. So every single machine now dumps all of its used water into the ground, into our pits, and actually we have pumps that'll pull it up and out of the pits, up into the ceiling, and it's going to be running all over our ceiling, and all gets funneled back to our water reclamation system.
And this is, I mean, this is kind of like the pit, right?
Yep, that's one of them, yeah.
Floor.
Yeah, so it'll run into there and it'll drain into a bigger pit, then another pit, and it kind of just cycles itself through.
Okay. What would this material be?
Trash.
Do we want to highlight it? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Okay.
Yep. But
right.
we do reuse a lot of this. If we have a piece of backsplash that breaks in the shop, it's kind of nice knowing this is out here. We can snag another piece, cut it, and we don't have to burn up any more material, and we don't lose any production days.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So this is our water system. We've had it for a little more than a year now. Previous to this, our water bill monthly was like $30,000. It's something insane. So the first month we had this installed, it dropped to like under a couple $1,000s. So it's paid for itself already. But it's basically a two-stage setup. So we have a pump over here and a second pump over here. So while we're cleaning and dismantling one, we can always have another one running. So all that dirty water comes into our facility back here, dumps into this giant tank. There's a single set of filters that'll filter out all the big debris and then shoots it straight back into the shop. And that's used just for cooling purposes on the blade and the fingers on the tools. Nothing that needs high-end clear water. The rest of the water gets pumped into this, and it's pushed through these membrane cloths, and it catches the debris and pushes the clean water out the other side and stores it in the small tank over here. And from there, it gets pushed into the shop and then feeds all of our, like the water jets, anything that needs the higher end clean water.
Yeah.
And then from here, when this is ready and it's full and we can no longer push water through, we send a bunch of air through it and dries out all that debris and basically turns it into a dust or a cake, and it'll drop out the bottom and then it gets tossed in the trash.
Okay.
So as of right now, we're basically 100% recycled. We're nonstop. We're just adding a little bit here and there to keep up with, you know, evaporation, things like that. But
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Cool. Okay. We got it all covered?
Yeah, I think we covered most of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John.
You bet.